Saludos, everybody, and welcome to the PGP podcast this Sunday today. Not trying to timestamp it because you know what? That happens on a lot of podcasts, but it's a very awesome show today because it's part two of this awesome book. 23 awesome educators, inspirational stories right here. Thanks to this beautiful lady right there. Oh, what? It's audio. No, it's Barbara Bray. She's the one that brought all of these awesome educators today, making sure that we spread the joy. And it's not just about educators, it's about anyone that needs that uplift because this book touches so many different topics of humanity. Hey, Josh Tobar, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland, SD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll and sending it over to that lady in H-Town. What's up, Dr. Moreno? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Josh. Oh my God, I'm back home. Look, my spiders are all over the place now. See, it's not just a Halloween decoration, it is all year because this is where I live out in the jungle. And so I don't know if you ever noticed that. Have you noticed my spiders?
No. I thought it was all those storms in Houston that just the spiders were taking over.
No. I have vines. I have another spider up here and you can't see it. But yeah, I love living in the open. And so I try to, mimic the environment that I love to be in, which is out in the, if I can be out in the jungle, I will. But anyways, I'm home. I love it. I'm really happy.
If you know anything about that lady, please follow her on IG. I don't know why she loves IG, but follow her on IG because she's not only a consultant for EB students, LEP students, LEP students, EPs. I don't know. We have so many alphabet soups for emergent bilinguals. Follow her. She's a great consultant for that, but also she takes educators to different parts of the world, kids in need. Your next trip to Africa is in 2025.
February 7th. Yes, February the 7th through February the 16th. I'm going to Tanzania. I'm out in the open. We're not going to Arusha. We're not doing Kilimanjaro. We're actually out in the open where elephants and giraffes roam freely while we're teaching outside in the Maasai students. And if you're interested in going to the border, the newsflash, I'm doing Christmas at the border in December. So if you're interested, send me a message on IG and wonderful time. It's Christmas. We have a lot of students that are trying to get in and seeking asylum and waiting for their appointment. But in the meantime, they're waiting on the Mexico side. And so we're going to take a team of people down there and coloring, drawing, making little beads to really support the kids and just give them something to dream and hope and give them something to do. These are children, and they are not going to school on these refugee camps in the Mexico side. They're not allowed to go into the Mexico school system. So we're going to take some books and coloring books and things like that so that they can do something while they're waiting. And they're waiting for months, Josh. They wait 6, 7, 8, 9, almost a year before their appointment comes up at the border, and then see if they are even allowed into the USA.
Oh, so it's if you're want to be part of that, make sure that you reach out to her. And greetings to Central Hicks, past guest here. Keisha McDonald will be an upcoming guest here on the PGP podcast. And the matriarch of Grow Your White, Barbara Bray, here in the audience. Thank you for being here. And who else? Miss Chan's class. I can't read that. My glasses aren't working, but welcome to the show. Hey, you know how we always get started is Chinchilawa moment. My Chinchilawa thought. That is a game. Those of you in Illinois, Charles probably doesn't know what the heck I just said, Chinchilawa. Chinchilawa is a game played, I don't know, tell me if you're from El Salvador, Honduras, but Mexican kids play that, and you line up against a wall, against a tree, you duck over, you jump on top, and everyone's laughing, and ha, 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 and you hold on tight, maybe like 5 kids on top. It's really cool until you get hurt.
Yes.
Until you get hurt. Then it's not all, as the kids say, it's not all fun and games. Well, my comment today is this. Hey, educator out there, just remember one thing. When parents reach out to us, don't be scared of taking the hand. However much they look, however much their job is. And I know nowadays that's a big hesitation that we hear from educators. The exodus are the parents or lack of support. And I don't know about you, Mari, but you know what? I'm a parent of 3 boys, and myself, when I try never to say, and you know this, Mari, you know me a little bit. I try never to say my title or who I am. I'm just Josh. Because whenever, Mari, and our guests, those of you that have walked these shoes, when we say we're principals, a big shield comes up with teachers. A big shield comes up with parents. And with other administrators, a big shield comes up. Like a defensive one, or I can't say that, around the principal. That's why I say, don't ever introduce me. Don't introduce me as my title. Just, this is Josh. This is Josh. Let me be. Let me make sure that I am here to help you. And you know what? It's been my experience that a lot of people do get defensive with other educators versus other educators. And we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't categorize anybody, because we're all parents. We're all educators, and we need to work together. And we need to see this as a glass half full and always assume positive intent. And I'm sorry if you were traumatized by other people or whatever situation, but it's important that we take all the help that we can get from the home environment. What do you think about that there, Dr. Moreno?
Oh my God. I mean, you hit it on the nose. Let me just tell you one thing. I have 2 boys. They're grown now, right? They graduated. They're out of the school system now. But my children would always say, you don't want my mom to call you because, you know, she's a principal. And I was like, stop saying that. Don't say that. That's not going to help you, right? Because you're right. These shoes come up, and it's not here. I'm not here to, I got you. I'm here to support you. And how can we work together? Because I want the best for my child. I think that's all we want, right? As parents. And so you're absolutely right. And I can't tell you how many times, you know, people reach out to me and they say, hey, can you help me out? Something's going on at my school, and they know I'm a former principal. But, you know, when I even go to support some of my kids and former parents, I don't say, look, I'm a former educator, I'm a former principal. I'm here just to, I come in with, you know, not knowing who I was before, just to kind of help them understand and navigate some of these policies. But anyways, neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, Josh, that it's all about making sure that we're working together. It takes a village, seriously, to raise our kids. And so I'll take all the help I can get. And at the end of the day, I really want to support my teachers and my principals to get the job done. At the end of the day, I want my kids to be reading, learning, and getting a good education.
And we shouldn't fear that someone might know a little bit more than us. We shouldn't fear that another educator can bring something to the table that can sharpen our tools. So let's keep that in the back of our mind. Our parents are not a contrary force. And let me clear this up. There is that cheerleading mom. There is that cheerleading mom. She wants her daughter.
Parents.
She wants her daughter in the front instead of being in the back. I got it. I understand. There is that one quarterback mom. I got you. I understand. But more often than not, that's not the way it is. We need to be open-minded and move on with the support. Hey, welcome to Dot McKeever-Jeeber, part of the Fantastic Four. Justin McMillan, past guest, and his AP is going to join us in a little bit. So making sure that we also look back to episode number 1, Dr. Moreno, and that was our advice for Mount Olympus. A bunch of retirees, over 100 years of service, they came. So right now, if you're feeling that it's starting to, it's starting to happen, November, this is when people start hitting the wall. The kids start percolating with all these little treats from Halloween and Thanksgiving coming up. If you need sage advice, go back to episode number 1, advice from Mount Olympus, educators with 35, 40 years of experience that can tell you, hey, it's all good. We're in the best profession, the profession that creates all the other professions, public education. But without further ado, you know what? We're here for part 2.
Come on.
La segunda parte. We've got our awesome authors. And let me navigate technology. This caveman here. I should be taught by Celeste, who's a queen of this stuff. Welcome to the round table of Barbara Brace, who's in the house right now. Grow your white. And for the audience out there, there's going to be an audio version around the corner. Never done before. Never been done before. Thanks to this lady right here, Barbara Bray. She had all of us. And no one compares to this cat right here. That cat right there, You're going to know what I'm talking about. You're going to fall in love with that guy. That guy's voice right there. That guy is a bomb.com. But never before has a book been recorded by all the authors, and Barbara Bray brought this to light. Love it. Welcome to all our guests. We're going to go round robin right now, and we're going to start off with Craig up there in the New England area. Please give the audience a little bit background about yourself, your family, your academic background, and your current job. Don't go so deep, remember? Don't go so deep, but give a little background.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Craig. I live in Pennsylvania. I have a wife, 2 kids. My kids are 23 and 22. I graduated from Penn State University. I started teaching elementary physical education in 1988, and then I taught for 5 years. And I went into high school for the last 30. So this is my 36th year of teaching. I've been a coach. I'm an SEL person, and my passion is really all about wellness.
Awesome. And just so you all know, for his age bracket, that's the strongest man in the United States right there. Right there. That cat right there. That guy eats his spinach and then more. Livia Chan out of Canada. Talk to us.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this roundtable here. I've been teaching for 26 years. Most of my career has been teaching grade 2 and 3, but in the last few years, I've had opportunity to teach grade 1 to 5. I have 2 kids at home. They're 20 and 22, still in university. And my other passion besides teaching and leading is in the world of ringette. It's a sport that you play on ice. It kind of looks like hockey from afar, but we chase around this blue ring. And my passions are in building relationships and just uplifting people. That's kind of what brings me joy.
And she does, man, if you get a text from that lady right there, you're just in walking on air for the rest of the day. That lady knows how to text. Let me tell you, if you got received a text from Livia, mucho amor, mucho amor. Hold on. No, not you, Charles. I'm going to save you for the last. Celeste, out in Hawaii. Talk to us.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us, Josh. So I am a teacher at Queen Ka'ahumanu Elementary School in Honolulu, and I am a mother and a grandma. I'm so blessed to be able to teach computer science to preschool to 5th grade at my school, and I'm passionate about dancing. I'm going to get to share that we're doing some dancing in classes, so I'll get to share that at a conference since I'm excited. Thank you.
That is so cool. I love it.
Wow.
Technology. I need to get tutoring lessons from that young lady right there about technology. And without further ado, out of Illinois, Senor Carlos.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I think it's interesting that we all have like grown children. My baby is 21 as well. So like we're all like grown folk rocking it out in this space with our grown people. But I am going into the 19th year of education. I've been sitting for most of that time as a school administrator. So Josh, completely understand that idea of when you walk into a space, especially for my children or even my grandson when I walk in, right? You carry that with you. But I truly enjoy this work. And about 5 years ago, I jumped on another adventure where I've been honored and humbled to be able to connect with educators from all over the country and beyond through the work that I do. In fact, I have a conference coming up at the end of this week right here in Chicago where I am hosting a pre-conference, breakout sessions. I'm sitting on the panel. So very, very busy, but just always looking for ways that I can make the biggest possible impact that I can with the time that I have in this space. So just thank you for allowing me to do that here with all of you, these phenomenal educators.
Hey, real quickly, what kind of consulting or work do you do with educators?
So mostly it's around the area of leadership. So the intersection of leadership, equity work, and more recently, the area of like well-being and mental health.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, there's some definitely intersections there, Dr. Moreno. I just followed you on the IG too.
Thanks.
And just so you all know, his work on equity is awesome. I heard him at the North Carolina Middle School Conference last year. This guy's on fire. He pops when he's presenting. follow that guy. Not only that, but call him over to your campus, your district, whatever it is. That guy knows what he's talking about. And I just got to push back, Charles. Got to push back. Not all of us have grandkids. I got a kindergarten kid.
I
I'm the
don't have
dummy.
grandkids.
I
My
know
kids
Okay,
don't
okay,
have
okay.
I'm the
kids.
dummy. I'm the dummy. All right. So all you elderly people here with grandkids, I ain't got that.
Grandkids.
I got a
No,
kid.
what?
right?
No, grown kids, just
Grown kids, not
apparently.
grandkids.
All right. Take it away, Dr. Moreno.
Well, thank you guys. And you know what? I'm just kind of taking notes as I hear you guys, and I'm just super excited. I am with a very phenomenal group of people. I mean, I have SEL over in Pennsylvania. That speaks to my heart. I have Canada, who is really interested in relationship building. I have, oh my God, Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii. This is so cool. And then Chicago, that's where I was born, Chi-Town. Woohoo! So I'm super excited. I'm super happy to be around amongst all of you. Before we get into the reason why we're here today, I think it's very important for people to understand why we got into the field of education, right? So let's just let the audience know real quickly who or what motivated you to enter the field of education. And we're going to start off with Livia.
Thank you. I love hearing everybody's introduction. And I think when I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger, but I had a number of people tell me that I would be a good teacher. And so I was working full time, and I thought, oh, this isn't what I want to do. And I asked my boss, can I work part time? So I ended up working three days a week instead. And then the 2 days I volunteered in a school. And the first day that I stepped into that school, I just knew that was my trajectory. And honestly, every day is a joy. And just being around my teaching friends and being around the children, meeting families, it's just such a joy to have relationships with everyone and learn together.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll go to Charles.
Yeah, so this is really what the chapter in this book was all about, because I was in that same boat. I had no desire to be an educator, which is always fun when I have a brand new baby teacher and they're like, tell me your story. And I'm like, yeah, that's not where I wanted to be, but here I am. But my grandmother, ever since when I was younger, she kept saying, you're going to be an educator. Everybody else, a doctor, a lawyer, all of these different things. My grandmother was, no, you're going to be an educator. And, I fell into it. When I was graduating from college, I had two options presented to me. I had two little baby girls at the time as a single father. And so I took a very practical route to make sure that I could make sure, I was providing for them. And it was to work in the school district where I went to school as a student, but it wasn't for education. It was in the realm of PR. But as I was doing that work, they were like, hey, could you help us teach English? I was like, wouldn't you know that I double majored in English as well, because, I'm a nerd. So I started teaching and absolutely fell in love with it. And that passion and drive that I have for everything. I said, if I'm going to do anything in this life, I'm going to be the best that I possibly can. So I went back to school, did that whole transition into teaching, and the rest is history. I've just chugged forward, got the master's in education, the master's in administration. And I've been doing this ever since. And I thank my grandmother for putting that voice somewhere in the back of my mind, because I don't know where I would be at this point, but I know it would not be here doing this phenomenal work and getting to hang out with all of you. So thank you to my grandmother, who unfortunately she's not here anymore, but
I'm sure she's very proud of you. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Celeste out in Hawaii.
Aloha, everyone. So, my mom, who was a second grade teacher for most of her life, working life, she would tell me, Celeste, never become a teacher. She wanted to protect me, right? Of course. But my grandpa was telling me I should become a teacher, and he was a principal. But what really made me want to be a teacher is because I was in sixth grade class, and I would just be the type of students who watch the clouds roll by and not paying attention. But my sixth grade teacher, Miss Esther Michiko Goto, she had us all do this class movie together. You know, this is a time when you have to carry these huge rolls of film and this huge, heavy film, you know, camera. And she was smaller than me, more petite than me. And then, you know, she had us doing, she had me as a can-can dancer. I just love to dance. And, you know, it just sparked my interest. She loves Snoopy with all these Snoopies, like life size, larger than the windows, you know, but she made me want to be a teacher. And because of Mrs. Esther Goto, I want to go into teaching. But the interesting thing is that after both of them passed away, I found out they both share the same middle name, Michiko.
Oh, how cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Mr. Strongest Man in the whole wide world, coming from Pennsylvania. Tell us who or what motivated you, sir.
Okay, so I had, when I was in high school, I wasn't a very good student. I was an athlete. I was a wrestler. I was a track kid. And I had 37 straight days of detention. So whenever I tell somebody that, they can't believe it.
Is that possible?
It is. I can't even get into why, but I'm telling you, I had 37 straight days of detention. So I went to Penn State, and in the fall semester of Penn State, I had calculus class, and I failed the class. And then the next semester I had to take it again. And I had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Gold. She was my calculus teacher. And I had never had a teacher who just seemed to have it all, was passionate and caring and funny, and really just kind of embraced everything that I thought about teaching. So a little bit later on, I was sitting in an economics class. I was a business major, and I could barely understand the teacher. So I turned to my buddy and I said to him, "There's no way I can do this the rest of my life." And he looks at me, he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I want to be a gym teacher." And he looks at me and he's like, "What?" I said, "I want to be a gym teacher." And he said to me, "Hey, let me be there when you tell your dad." Because my dad was my dad was a truant officer, and he didn't want me to go into teaching. And I think for me really is not only having Mrs. Gold, but my passion for wellness and being able to teach young people about wellness was something that I just really thought if I could do that as a profession, it would be just such an amazing job. And I was just really fortunate to get into the field and have some great mentors. And I still really love my job.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing who or what motivated you. Because I think it's important to lay that foundation so that everybody knows what inspired you to create your chapter in your book, right? So it's important for us to kind of lay that foundation. So thank you so much for sharing.
Big shout out to Frank Poland, checking out the show on LinkedIn, and Melissa Jones Chunu, who will be on the show in a couple of weeks, part of the Fantastic Four, and Valerie Macy for joining us right now. Thank you. Could be doing something else, but you're here with us learning about Grow Your Why. Well, you know what? Barbara always on her chats, Barbara on her podcast, she's always using that one word. Yes or no panel. Why? Why? Specifically, the specificity of her vision, of her heartbeat in her first book and the other books that she has. It's what is your why? Especially when we're dealing with the most vulnerable kids in the United States right now after the pandemic. So we'll start off with you, Charles. Very simple. What's your why?
My why is pretty simple. I think that everybody should have that their personal mission statement, and mine is to encourage, to educate, to challenge educators, to push back on archaic systems that continue to often do little more than marginalize our most disenfranchised students, right? And so my goal is so that every single one of my students walks out of our space with an educational experience that is not just valued, right, by them or within our community, but by the larger world. Because so many of our students walk into spaces where there are judgments and stigmas about them already. And so I want them to walk into spaces carrying that power with them. And so the only way that's going to happen is through educators. And so that is my why. I push back on them to challenge these things. If we continue to do the same things in education that we've always done, we're going to continue with these same outcomes. And to be honest, Josh, I'm sick and tired of having the same exact conversations. And hence the reason I've adopted the sugar-free approach. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. We're going to have real, honest, raw conversations. We're going to break those molds.
Perfect. Livia, talk to us.
I think what drives me every single day is the people. And without the people, why am I there, right? And so I want to make such a difference in their lives, to change their life trajectory, make an impact in understanding who they are, empowering them to learn about themselves and each other and their place in this world and their responsibility as little citizens. I want to also make such an impact on not just their lives, but their families, because we all work together, right? We're all interconnected. And the more that we work together, the better we are. And then the other piece is just really making an imprint on their hearts. And I think that's teaching them how to love, teaching them what kindness not just looks like, but feels like, and just learning that when they're kind, they're making this world a better place. That's something that I really want to instill in them. And then just as woven throughout, just learning what gratitude is, and so that they live a life of feeling and expressing gratitude, because the more gratitude we have, the more you feel like you live in abundance. And we definitely are so blessed in so many ways and have lots of things to feel grateful for. So that's my why.
Was I lying? Isn't she awesome the way she talks? Was I lying?
Thank you.
No, you weren't, Josh, at all.
Wow. Craig.
I guess so. My why is grounded in two things. First, it's grounded really in being able to teach young people about wellness, and all kinds of wellness, not just physical wellness, but emotional wellness, social wellness, because that's something that I really learned at a young age, and it's a passion of mine. And the second thing I would say is my why is I really feel that each day it's up to all of us, no matter what your role in education is, to make a difference in at least one person's life, to have them leave your classroom or school feeling good about who they are, what they stand for, and how they can make a world a better place.
Beautiful, Craig. And you role model that. If you are not following Craig, make sure you follow him. He does one video drives in the morning. Don't get caught with a ticket, bro. But he does a great message. He does a great job. Not that I'm dropping the dime on the cops and letting them look for you, but I'm just saying, listen to his message. Talk to us in Hawaii.
You know, I would love to bridge onto what Charles and Livia and Craig just shared. You know, like Livia told us, it's the people, and we can connect with people through our roles. And everyone go like this. Make one rainbow. See all the colors of the rainbow fill our bodies. Second rainbow. See all happiness, kindness, and love fill our bodies. Breathe in. What have we made?
A heart.
A heart. Do you see the rainbow heart? I come from the land of rainbows, and you know, Hawaii. We love diversity and sharing all our gifts from all the diverse cultures. So, I have a wonderful role to get to help uplift people from all kind cultures and just people in general, like you're all saying. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Dr. Moreno.
Josh, I want to go to Hawaii now because you're just so awesome. Oh my goodness, we're doing hearts. This is so cool.
Come, you're all invited. All kind people are invited.
I'm coming in December.
Awesome. Well, you guys, we're gonna get ready to talk about the book in just one more second, okay? But before we do that, you know, everybody aspires to write a book. And it's really hard. I mean, all of you have full-time jobs and are working on other projects and whatnot. And I just couldn't believe when they told me that Josh had a chapter in this book. I'm like, when did he have time to do this? Because he's all over the place. So, but before we start talking about your chapter, I just want everybody to know out there, tell the audience, how did you find time to write your chapter while, having a full-time job? So, so others know like when we can actually do this ourselves. We're gonna start off with Celeste.
Oh, when do we all have time to do anything extra? Well, it was really summertime. I was so lucky that I had some space. I knew that Barbara, we knew that Barbara was putting together this wonderful book, so we made sure that we left a chunk of summer available to work on this and didn't adopt too many other extra things to fill our platters with. And breaks.
And breaks. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. How about you, Livia?
Well, I think when you're driven by passion, you find time, you make time. And when Barbara Bray comes up with an idea and asks you to be a part of it, it's a no-brainer. It's yes. And it's just been such an honor to work with Barbara and to see and celebrate other people's contributions to this book too. So I'm just so honored and so blessed to be in this educational space, sharing a piece of the book.
Awesome. Charles, what about you? When did you find time, sir? Because I know you're a busy man.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like we just talked about, time does not really exist. It's being intentional about how you use that time, right? And making things that are important to you. But I think one of the best and the easiest things about this was it didn't feel like a chore, right? We got to tell our own stories. And I think so often when we're writing a book or when people take on this task, right, you're trying to figure out like, how am I writing? What am I doing? How am I researching? Am I putting it all together? But for this, we just got to sit down and tell our story. And so when you get to do something that you're so passionate about, something that is so personal to you, it flows. And so, this was something that I knocked out really, really quickly because it was that. And like Livia was saying, when Barb was like, "Hey, Charles, are you interested?" Absolutely. Right. And so you're going to make that time for her. But yeah, it was just coming from that place of being a personal passion project. And so it didn't take a whole lot of time because it's something that you're, I guess, that just interested in.
Okay. Craig, did you like write your book while you're lifting weights, or like what happened there?
Well, first of all, I could just basically copy Charles. He really summed it up perfectly. I think. Well, I had already written a book, so after writing a book, then doing a chapter, especially about what Charles was talking about. For me, when I saw Barbara doing this, and she asked me if I wanted to be interested, it's exactly what Charles said. I really just already had a story in my mind. I knew what I wanted to say. It was a passion of mine. It dealt with my father. And really, I was actually able to write it in pretty much a day, just because I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I mean, not the editing piece, but getting the key parts down. It really was not difficult at all. And I would just follow up and say to anybody out there who's thinking about writing, number one is you got to have a passion. You got to have a passion for it and really believe in your heart that it's something that you want to do. And it doesn't have to be education. It can be any topic, really. But if you believe it's something that's going to make a difference in people's lives, then I say go for it.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part, is putting pen to paper, right? To start doing that, or looking at a blank screen and start typing something. But I think Charles was talking about, because it's your stories, right? And it makes it so much easier when you're talking about something that you've lived, you understand, and it's just easier to kind of just share it with others. So thank you so much for letting the audience know how sometimes it could be easy, so long as you have this passion behind it, right? So appreciate that. Thank you.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. I want you all to please share part of your chapter, the main ideas of it, because I want them to buy the book. We're not going to give it all, or they could go download. I don't know, Barbara, can you tell us in the comment where they're going to be able to get the audio version of that? I know she told us in the X chat, but either get the audio or buy the hard copy, the hardback, or whatever. But tell us about your book. Tell us that story that people are going to read over Thanksgiving. That story people are going to read over the Christmas break, over New Year's. Because you know what? We're tired of what's going on right now in the world, especially in this country. There's too much noise. Noise. We need beauty. We need beauty of that grandchild smile, of that kinder smile. We need the beauty of grow your why. So Celeste, talk about your chapter.
All right. Well, Barbara had mentioned to me, Celeste, can you write a chapter about culture? And I'm like, what do I have to say about culture? And then it dawned on me, I have some kind of pretty fantastical people that I got to grow up with. So I got to write about growing great generations, and I got to share about my grandpa and my family and how my dad, he is this big burly man, this almost like Santa, and then and he used to run a dance every Wednesday night, and I got to thinking, if my dad could do it, I could too. So I ended up doing a weekly dance with the kids, and they would morning dance Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and anyway, it just has a lot of ways we can incorporate dance into classes. So I'm getting to get some ideas about that for a conference. I'm sharing a presentation at Dance Up and Learn. It's the third part of Get Up and Learn, Dress Up and Learn, and now Dance Up and Learn. Thank you.
Wow, I just, are you just mesmerized when she talks? Follow her on X. She does the same thing. She's on fire. She's just awesome, Celeste. Just awesome as always. Big shout out to part of another team member of the Fantastic Four, Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor, every Saturday with Principal Cafele and Sean Hurd. And we finish off the Fantastic Four this Sunday, part of the Awesome Four group of educators. Craig, talk about your chapter.
Okay, so I have a chapter 1 of the Barbara's book, and really it was based off of my father. So I had keep it short. My father had just gotten cancer, and my wife and I were like, "What can we do to help him?" And he loved Atlantic City. So I don't know if everybody knows where Atlantic City is. It's in the state of New Jersey in North America. And my father grew up going to New Jersey every summer. It was like a place he used to work. So my wife and I said, "Hey, let's take your dad down to Atlantic City." And he had, like I said, he had cancer at the time. And we were walking on the boardwalk. It was like the middle of April, and it was really cold. And I remember my father struggling to walk. And I said to him, I'm like, "Dad, hey, do you want to go inside?" He's like, "No way, Craig. I'm so grateful for you and your wife taking me here. I'm so happy. Thank you so much." And as we were walking, I was thinking deeply about my own life, like about the things that I would take for granted, like stupid things, like, I get upset about a dish being in the sink or something silly. And then I looked at my father and I was like, man, my father has cancer and he's walking on the boardwalk with me and my wife, and he's grateful. And then we went to this restaurant together. The name of the restaurant is a hoagie house called the White House. It's very famous. And my father always wanted to pay the bills. He always wanted to pay the bill for everybody. Even if he didn't have the money, he'd always want to pay. And I remember when the check came, I took the check because I wanted to pay. And my father got really upset at me. And he's like, "Give me that bill, Craig. Give me that bill." And I'm like, "Dad." He's like, "Give it to me." And I gave my dad the bill. And then I thought again, like, why am I making a big deal about giving him the bill? If that's going to make him happy and make him feel whole, I'm going to give him the bill. And as we were driving home, coming back, it really kind of made me think deeply, even as an educator, about what was truly important to me. Like not taking things for granted, being kind and respectful to people, working hard every day, and just trying to generally be a good person. And, as we got back to my house, my dad said to me, he's like, "Craig, Kyle, I love you guys. Thank you so much for taking me." And it really kind of made me think deeply about just my own why.
Thank you for sharing that, Craig, especially when we make those connections with our ailing parents and we have to go through that stage with them. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And you know what, Craig, whenever we do meet face to face, I'm gonna make you happy and pay for my bill. So just know that. Okay, I want you to make sure you walk in your father's footsteps, and I want you, my friend, to be happy as I eat a big steak. No beer, but just a big steak.
Josh,
Livia.
we are going to meet. Josh, we are going to meet.
For sure. Livia.
Josh, when we meet, I want you to make me happy too, and I will happily pay for your meal. So come on up to Vancouver, Canada. So my chapter is called The Life-Changing Impact When Someone Believes in You. And so Barbara's separated her book into 3 different sections. The first one is about defining your why. The second one is about journey, your why. And then the last part is grow your why. And so since I've been a part of education for 26 years now, it's one of those things where I just always thought I would just be a teacher. And through the pandemic, there was an opportunity that came knocking on my door that allowed me to grow my why. And it's just shifted another part of what I already thought was a passion to like a secondary passion. And that passion was to be connected with educators all around the world and to support them and to learn from them, but also to do my own reflection on I started blogging, and I have my own website, and I started being on people's podcasts and having my work in different books and things like that. So it's just shifted it's almost like, your passion is like one head, and then now you've got this like second head growing at the same time. And it just has made me feel so much more, I'm not sure what the word is, so much more full as a person, if you want to call it that. And, I truly believe that the more passions we have, the more joy we can have in our lives and the more impact that you can have as well. And I just, these opportunities didn't come until people saw something in me and believed in me. And it literally has changed my life. So I shared a couple different stories on how it's changed my life, and is slowly changing my trajectory as well. And, when these opportunities come to you, they're gifts. And so these are just opportunities that you could choose to take or not take, right? And we all know that when we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone, we grow. And when we grow, we allow ourselves to flourish and thrive. And somebody offers you some extra joy at your door, and when you don't take these opportunities, you're saying no to joy. You're saying no to new passions. So I just encourage everybody to just, when there are opportunities, take them. When there's an opportunity for you to encourage somebody else and say, I believe in you. Sometimes we just need people to tell us that, I believe in you. And then when you piece together all these things, I always tell my kids and other people, if you have experienced any kind of imposter syndrome or you have a hard time believing in yourselves, just listen and look around to all the people that are giving you praise or gratitude or all of that.
Mhm.
And borrow their belief in you until you believe in yourself. And I
Mhm.
think that is just something that I've learned and that I share with many, many people. And I believe it just really makes a difference. So I'm just grateful for the people that believed in me, just like all of you here. So thank you. And Barbara.
And Barbara. Thank you for sharing that, Livia. Appreciate it. Charles.
Yeah, so Livia, yeah, I just wanted to say that remember I was able to have Livia on my show, and this was long time ago, like when the show was a baby, but I remember reaching out and was like, I want to connect with you, so thank you for that, and believing in each other. I think one of the things in my chapter, as Livia mentioned, there's those different sections. I'm in the journey section, and I know I started talking a little earlier about my having a choice, right? When I graduated from school. But something that I recognized relatively early on was that, unlike a lot of people who talk about their time in school, or about how they struggled or what, I was amazing at school, or at least to think that I was, right? I was like the Troy Bolton of school, right? I ran track, I wrestled, I swam, I was an academic decathlon and science Olympiad. I was like number 3 in the class. Like, I rocked it out. But the reason I rocked it out was because school was made for people like me. Like I could read something and remember it. I was able to take information and regurgitate it and send it back to you. Like I was the perfect model for school. It wasn't that I was amazing. It was that I fit the mold.
Yeah.
And so all of my peers who struggled, my brother, for example, who struggled throughout, it wasn't because they had any deficiencies. It was because they didn't fit that mold. And what I wanted to do as an educator early on is I never wanted any of my students to feel that way. I had those students who were just like me, who could read something and memorize, write all of those things. But I was worried about those students who didn't fit that. And so I started creating spaces for them. Little did I know at the time was that was my journey into this equity work that I'm doing now. But in this book, that's what I talk about, right? That I was like, hey, you know what? Never, ever, ever do I want a student, whether it was in my class or as I started moving into the world of administration within my building, do I ever want a child to walk out of my school on any given day thinking, this is not for me? No, it is for you. We just got to figure out how to make it for
Wow.
you.
Mhm.
Right. And so that has been one of the driving forces of my journey throughout this, over these last almost, 2 decades of trying to make sure that every student fits, not just that the school fits a few of us, right? And we rock it out and we excel, but how do we make, that school fit every single one of our students?
Thank you very much for sharing, everybody. Yeah, in the comments, it's all these ideas, you have to reach out. Look, you have to reach out. Whoever's seeing this on the live broadcast or on the rebroadcast, these ideas come from different. You saw this. Dr. Moreno was not supposed to be an educator. She ended up in education. You know what? Charles, he was that guy in the top 10%. I was a knucklehead drunk in high school. We all have that different background. We all have that, but the thing is that something inspired us, like Livia, something connected with us, either an individual, an event, or whatever that might be. So this is what that book is all about, making sure that we get that inspiration from that unknown, maybe this page right here, you in Iowa, maybe that page right there is going to change your life. I don't know. Check out the book. Dr. Moreno.
Awesome. Craig, we're going to start with you. Okay. So this is your question. It's actually a 2-part question, guys. Okay. So what I want is, let's talk a little bit about what he just tapped into and that Josh just tapped into. And that's more about kind of an event or a story that inspired you to solidify yourself around your passion for education. Right. So just think about one of those stories, one of those events that happened. I know we have plenty. We have many, many years under our belt. So it's not like we can't think of one. Right. I know I can tell you some stories. But so one is a story or an event that inspired you. And then the second thing that I want you to tell the audience is, are you involved in any other projects outside of your current role? Okay. So it's a 2-part question. So one, again, what event or story that solidified your passion for education? And the second part is, what other things are you involved in out in the community or outside of your current role that you want to share with everybody? So Craig, go ahead.
Okay. So when I started teaching, I was teaching in a city called Camden, New Jersey. And if anybody knows Camden, New Jersey, I mean, well, you'd have to be obviously probably from North America. But if you're from North America, Camden, New Jersey was a very poverty-ridden city, a lot of crime, and really looked down upon in many, many, many circles. So I had started my job in Camden. And remember, I was talking about the blacktop, how I kind of the trash truck coming through before. And I decided that I wanted to start a dance team in Camden. And I remember having all of these elementary school kids on this dance team. And we were asked to present in front of the Camden School Board. And there were hundreds of people there. And I had about 80 elementary school kids, not just from my school, but from other schools. And watching the kids dance, I just sat back and was like, oh my God. If anybody tells me that we should put parameters on what a certain kid can do, they need to watch this. They need to see these kids coming from a very difficult life on stage, dancing together, 80 something kids to music, all in sync and being cheered. And of course, when it happened, I just sat back because they basically introduced me to, and I just said, hey, this is not about me. You know, it's not about me. This is about the kids. And I just stepped off the stage. And after watching them, it was just such an amazing event. And it really kind of just gave me perspective again of like, we have to set expectations for everybody. We should never allow somebody's socioeconomic status, their race, their gender to dictate what is possible for them to do. So that's kind of my story there. And I'm sorry, say again your second piece.
The second piece is other projects that you're involved in outside of your current role.
Oh boy.
Just one, sir, because I know you have like a whole bunch. I know you're all over the place. So just
okay. Well, I would say that really, I guess my pet passion now is my podcast. I have a podcast, Cutting the Crap with Shap. And that's something I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but I got involved in it. I really do love it. I have different areas. I have a wellness one. I have an education one. And then I have one with another person that talks about small nuggets, big change. So I have like 3 parts of the podcast. And it's just a blast. I mean, it's just so much fun putting stuff out there that's all positive. Every single thing that we put out is to try to make the world a better place.
And you know what? And talking to people, right? Letting people know about all the great things that are happening. I think that's important. So congratulations and thank you for continuing to spread greatness amongst all other educators and people out there who are interested in wellness. So awesome. Awesome. Thank you, sir. We'll go with Olivia.
So you asked what solidified my passion and inspired me. And I think it's just the kids. You know, whenever I spend time with them, ever since the first day that I stepped into that school, the very first day that I volunteered, and every year since then, every day since then, I've been teaching for 26 years, and it still feels like every year is the best year yet. And I think when I started and until now, I feel like my heart just continues to grow, and it's because of the kids. How it makes me feel. I feel so loved every day. Just like, you know, it's Halloween, and my last year's kids, they knew that my favorite chocolate was Coffee Crisp. So one of my kids from last year comes to me the next day, and she has a whole bag of little Coffee Crisps just to give to me. And it was like, you know, those little things, right? That you know that they love you. They come to me, and even last year's kids, they just like hold on to me, they hug me, and they don't want to let me go. I'm like, I gotta go teach, and you have to go to your class. And so I think it's just that sharing of love and kindness. It just fills my heart with so much joy, and we fill each other's heart with joy. Like we start every day with a soft start, and I call it heart time. And I call it heart time because it's a time to fill our hearts with joy.
Yeah.
And it's not just, you know, it's not just a soft start. It just seems like it doesn't honor that time enough unless you call it heart time. And then when it's time to clean up and come to the carpet for our morning circle time, I always say to them, thank the people that brought you joy, because I feel like the more we talk about joy and the more we teach them about how we cultivate joy every single day and really know what brings us joy, you can imagine if every child from kindergarten all the way to grade 12, 13 years they've had their teacher talk about joy and cultivating it and how we spread joy and all of that. You can imagine that, you know, when they're adults, I think after 13 years of training, they're going to be way more, their well-being is going to be better because they know how to find that for themselves and cultivate it for themselves. So I think it's just really
show compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because Josh always says, you know, building those relationships. And I think your mantra, Josh, is kids don't care how much kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
Right. And so that's really the staple of everything. And we talk about relationship building all the time. And so you're absolutely right. I love it. If we can just do it from kindergarten all the way through, I mean, that'll be amazing. And it's hard. Some of these kids, you need to slowly but surely help them understand that we do care. But kids have a sixth sense. Like they know if you really care or you're a
Yeah.
faker, right?
Yes.
And so it's important to show that kindness and show them
Yes.
that you care about them. So thank you so much for sharing, Livia.
You're welcome.
Charles, how about you?
Yeah, so you know, one of my favorite stories, I was sitting here. Luckily, I wasn't like Craig. I didn't have to go first. I was like, oh, I have some time to think which story I want to share. But one
Charles,
that I,
it's because I'm keeping tabs of who went first, and you have not, and you've been going first a lot, sir. That's why I went ahead and I said, let me give him a break.
no worries, I appreciate it. You know, I think one of the stories that I love to share about this work that we do and why it drives me. So I've been on the west side of Chicago in the Austin neighborhood for ever now, for about a decade. And, you know, within the city of Chicago, the city, to be honest, it's extremely segregated. And so you have different areas of the city. In fact, you know, from one neighborhood to the next, there's like a 20-year life expectancy difference. It's ridiculous. But we're on the far, far west side of the city. And so often forgotten, often overlooked, often neglected. And so I've positioned myself as one of the things I talk about with being, you know, if you're truly, you know, an equity champion, you're going to be an advocate for your students. And so I'm constantly busting into spaces and like, where are my kids? Where's our invite? Why are we not here? And they're like, Charles, stop doing that. You weren't invited. I was like, we are now. So I remember one time there was a rocket building competition being hosted by Boeing. And I signed us up and they were like, how did you get the invite? And I was like, I don't know. Somebody shared it with me. But my kids are now going because we signed up. And so I sent my students. Now, we were a like textbook Title I school. All we did was, you know, science and reading because that's what drove our test scores. That's what drove our funding, right? I'm not proud of saying it, but that's the space that we were in. And so we didn't even really have a science class. We had a teacher trying to create a STEM club so our students could get some exposure into that world. And I said, you know what, I'm going to send my students anyway, because I believe that those gaps that we talk about, that achievement gap really exists within those opportunity gaps.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I'm like, I'm going to make sure that my kids have an opportunity. I signed them up, I sent them off, and they were livid with me. They were like, why would you do this? You're going to embarrass us. But, you know, I was like, I believe in you. Like Livia was talking about, like, I believe in you. You're going to be amazing. Go do it. And they left. And I was like, what did I just do? Right. This could backfire tremendously. So I sat and I waited nervously for them to return. And I remember that bus pulled up and I could see the bus from my office. And I'm standing there just watching. And they come jumping off and they're jumping around and they're so excited. And they told me we took third place. Right. And I was like, that is amazing. Now, remind you, the STEM list for this club had been sitting empty all year long. The next morning it was filled because suddenly students were like, wait, no, we can do this too, right? You little Black boys and girls, we can be scientists. We can do these things. And so the next year, all of a sudden we were invited back, right? But they were like, but you can't send the same teams. I was like, that's okay. You think those were the only amazing kids I got? Who do you want? So they changed the grade level. So this time I sent off, it was 5th grade this time. I sent them off. They came back and a 5th grade group of young girls took the whole thing. Won first place this time against schools, you know, from the north side of Chicago, you know, very wealthy areas, right, with science and STEM clubs. And so they came back and they were just so excited. And to this day, that rocket is sitting in the trophy case of the school because of just the power of believing in the opportunities, right? And so for me, I think that is one of those stories, like, because I could have said, you know what, I don't know if our kids are ready. Maybe, you know, we weren't invited, but I believe that we as educators need to do that. We need to bust in and be those voices for our students so they could have those opportunities, and you'll be surprised what they can do. So that's one of the stories. That's not in the book, but that's one of my favorite stories to share.
Oh, it's so cool. And I wrote down the power in believing, because that's so powerful, right? For us to really support our kids and providing them the opportunities. I think so often we sell our kids short, right? We're like, we're not, well, we didn't really practice. Oh, well, we're not really prepared. Just do it. Just go out there and do it. Because half the time it's exposure. kids don't understand what's out there until you let them go out there and explore and see, right? So, wow, good job. I love it. I love that story. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Dr. Moreno.
one more quick thing. What are you doing besides all of the stuff that you're doing? Anything out of your realm here of other things that you're doing outside your current role?
Yeah, so in addition, as I mentioned earlier, so I'm a author. Obviously, I wrote this and of a few other things in the works. I have a podcast, the Counter Narrative podcast. So actually, I'm going to be doing a holiday episode coming up soon, focusing on friends who were in this book. Livia is going to be in it. So holiday
Awesome.
episode in December. And on top of that, getting to travel around and speak. I've got conferences. I've been signed up. In fact, this week alone, I'm a guest on 2 shows, recording an episode, and then I've got the conference with like 5 different sessions at the end of this week. So very busy week. But again, it's just an opportunity to make the biggest possible impact that I can.
Awesome. Thank you. Last but not least, Celeste, all the way from Hawaii. What time is it in Hawaii, by
It
the
is
way?
3:02
Oh
p.m.
my goodness. It's almost 7 here.
Sorry, guys. Hey, but I love those opportunities for kids, and definitely, like Livia was saying, those hugs and those little homemade things that kids will make for you. But the one event that I want to say or shifted my why in education happened around March 2020, the day before we were going to spring break, March 2020. Imagine I was just in the cafeteria, and all these kids are just saying hi and normal everyday greetings and stuff. And then, we had heard about this disease, COVID, that has been making its rounds, and we're all like, gosh, I wonder what's going to happen if we're really going to get back to school. And then we didn't get back to school. And then, all of a sudden our kind of world just turned upside down, and we're wondering what to do. And we were having these virtual calls, and we were wondering, how are we going to connect to our children, from different homes far away? How are we going to connect to everybody? And then, I had been reading books like Dave Burgess's Teach Like a Pirate book before, and I got I had a whole lot of costumes in my classroom from my role model Esther Michiko Goto, who loved costumes. She had 2 classrooms full of costumes, but I would bring a costume into every. I try to bring a costume into every class virtually, and but what also was making the class fun, it was a lot of motions, like the one I taught you earlier. Because guys, I never used to teach with as much motions as I do now, but non-verbally, and like thank you cards, non-verbal things, they make such a big difference. And visually now, the things I taught them, the visual things I taught them on this computer screen, they would bring it back into the real life school. And then I have kids calling me from like the bottom floor, and I would be on top floor or across the street, and then they're making these big hearts and saying, "Mrs. Endo," they call to me, and then they would make me want to turn around. If I'm not facing them, they flip me around, and it's like, we can do amazing stuff to touch the hearts of kids. And we do that every day. So thank you all for what you do. But we can also do it non-verbally. And Jerry Toops, Mr. Jerry Toops, I believe Jedi, he does so much non-verbal, and I'm learning from him, people like him. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Celeste, what else are you doing outside of your role now that keep you busy?
That's right. Okay. So Schools of the Future is coming up in Hawaii. And we also have the Hawaii version of Making It Happen, which Keisha McDonald, who's on here, she's a nominee for that. So we're helping to put that kind of stuff together. Meet and greet at Schools of the Future is also happening Thursday night, November 14th. If anyone wants to come to Hawaii around that time. Yeah, it's a free event. Take care, guys.
I'll write that down somewhere. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate that.
Real quick, we're about to close off the show, guys. Doesn't seem like an hour just passed. Real quick. Charles, where are you in 5 years?
I was moving the chat pops up and I'm like, get out of the way so I can unmute myself. You know what, Josh? In 5 years, I don't see myself doing anything different. The one thing that keeps popping up and everybody's been asking me along the way is, when are you opening your own school? When are you going to do that thing, right? All these great ideas, all these things that you've been wanting to build, you've been doing it in somebody else's space. When are you opening your own school? And literally just last week, I had that conversation with somebody and I was like, if it happens, it probably will be within the next 5 years. And so it's been a dream of mine for a while. And I think that when you have an idea, when you have a dream and things keep popping up in the space, those are symbols and signs that say, hey, stop ignoring this. So, very possibly within the next 5, I'll have my own space.
Celeste, where are you in 5 years?
I probably be almost to retirement by then, but I'm not really counting the days or anything. I just I hope to have time for grandkids later on. Just tutu.
All right. Livia, where are you in 5 years?
Same with you, Celeste. I hope I would be retired in 5 years too, but not retired, like just shifting, right? Shifting. So I hope to have my book published, my own book published, and I hope to be traveling around and speaking more often, and maybe my own consulting business.
Beautiful. Craig, where are you in 5 years?
Oh boy. Opening my own gym, retired on a beach in North Carolina.
We all believe that one right there, brother. We all believe that one right there. All right, here we go. It is our Échale Ganas segment. All right, guys, if you don't out there, if you're listening to me in Hawaii, you don't know what ganas is. You know what? It's a Hispanic word. If you are in Nebraska, you have no idea how to say ganas. You know what? It is a spiritual word for Hispanic people from all over Mexico, Central, South America. It's a generational word that goes down through time, and that's how we motivate each other, not only academically, but as a people, as a culture, as a family. Échale ganas, mijo. There is no equate. It's a motivational word that only Hispanics use to motivate each other. So when you hear that from a mom telling that to your student in your school, they're motivating them. Échale ganas, mijo. And sometimes it's in a scolding way, but it's with love, because it's a generational tie between El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Puerto Rico, Mexico. You just name them all. It's a spiritual word. It's not just a word in the dictionary. So I want you to motivate those educators that will be going to work tomorrow with your answers. And remember, this is a lightning round. This is not a dissertation. This is not a 7-sentence answer. It's a quick answer. It's a lightning round. That's the only questions I fed you guys. So here we go. Olivia, we're starting off with you. Give advice to a new teacher.
You are not alone. Go find your people. All it takes is to reach out, and you will end up finding a wonderful world of friendships that's just waiting for you, because we are stronger together and better together.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Me? Oh. I have something from George Couros. He's somebody that I followed for, actually probably one of the first people that I followed, but he says, he was introducing me before his podcast, and he says, one of the things that I loved about talking with Livia is the importance of elevating those around us and the energy we bring into any space that we enter. From my conversations with her and her interactions, people always seem to leave better after they connect with her. She was very inspiring to talk to, and her school is blessed to have her leadership.
Beautiful. Send some flowers to a current educator who inspires you.
Well, I would have to just continue on that line with George Couros.
Name one person people should follow on social media.
Besides him, I lately have been really drawn to Zach Bauermaster.
What is one song that embodies you as a person?
I asked my son this, and he was just kind of smirking at me. And I couldn't really think of anything except a children's song. Do you know this song? The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. There's your friends and my friends and my friends and your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. That's my song.
Love it. That was original. You're the OG because you're the first one to sing it. I love it. What's your favorite quote?
Very cool. Simon Sinek. Life is beautiful not because of the things we see or do. Life is beautiful because of the people we meet.
What is your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Oh, it's actually a drink. It's coffee.
That's not a cheap food.
I only have
food,
it.
Olivia.
It is. I only have it sometimes on the weekends
All
because
right.
I like it. I like it really sweet. I like it with sweetened condensed milk, and I add some powdered black sesame to it. So it is a treat. I don't have it all the time. I maybe have it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a month.
Olivia, I know for a fact I could never have a potty mouth around you. You just bring me at peace. You bring me calm. You just told it. Dr. Moreno, doesn't she bring you calm? Don't you love that? Beautiful.
She
spirit.
does.
I have
How
so
can
many
people-
people that tell me that. So thank you.
How many people? How can people reach you?
Probably the best way is through Twitter, I think, or sorry, X. It's on the screen. It's at Livia Chan L. I'm also Livia Chan L on Facebook and Instagram. It's all the same. LinkedIn, all the same.
Celeste, give advice to a new teacher.
Find and grow positive people who fuel our souls at home and at school. Stick with positive role models. Grow marigolds.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Dear Mrs. Celeste Endo, you are such a kind, hilarious, unselfish, and awesome teacher. You can make a gloomy, pitch dark room shine as bright as the sun. You are always there to encourage and help your students when they need it. You are especially generous with your time. For example, you invented the morning dance sessions so kids could laugh and be joyful. The incredible thing is no one asked you to. It was your choice. You are always welcome. You always welcome students to answer and ask questions they might have. These are the qualities that define a super fun and creative teacher. Let the reign of technology wizards continue. Abra, Tech, Gabba, with love, sire.
Eso. Eso. I love it. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Sending flowers to Barbara Bray, who is growing us and bringing us all together today. One person to follow is Craig Shapiro for promoting a teaching positive, dreaming big mindset like the people in Craig's Teach Pause Twitter chats.
I love that lady. What's one song, una canción that embodies you as a person?
Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake, because I got this feeling inside my bones.
Oh, God.
Got it. What's your favorite quote?
Dr. Rosie Tatsuguchi says, as humans, our four rights and needs are truth, competence, correction, and replenishment.
Perfect. What's your cheat food? What's your favorite sweet?
Mochi ice cream, all kind flavors. Mochi ice cream.
Okay, I told you what ganas is. What's mochi?
Oh, okay. Mochi is well, we have mochi that is sticky rice in many cultures, especially Asian cultures. It's a when you mash up the rice and you make a sticky, yummy, gooey texture, kind of like what do you call it? Play-Doh, and then you wrap it around. Just not the flavor, but the the texture, and you wrap it on ice cream. That's yummy.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you for teaching us something in a different aspect of your culture. All right, how can people reach you?
X Twitter at Sally Endo. Instagram and Threads at Celeste Y Endo, and email celeste.endo@gmail.com. Thank you. Mahalo.
Beautiful. Craig, give advice to a new teacher.
Always separate the work-life balance.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Dear Mr. Shapp, even though I never had you as a teacher, I know that you've made such an amazing difference in all of our students' lives. Every single message that I hear coming out from you, especially over the announcements, makes me feel like I'm being a better person. I know it's easy to recognize all the great things that you do, but I truly admire all that you do to make William Tennant the best school it can be. Thank you for being the best teacher ever.
Woo! Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Okay, I got a copy. I'm going to go with Barbara Bray.
Perfect. Who should people follow on social media?
I'm going to say Dr. Chris Culver.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just found out about him. Yeah. What's one song, una canción that embodies you as a person?
And sing it too while you're at it.
I can't sing it. I'm going to say the song "Thank You" from Led Zeppelin.
There you go. We had our first Led Zeppelin. What's your favorite quote?
Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always right.
What's your favorite cheat food you had? I know you have one.
I will say I love pizza.
There you go.
We're going to say carrots or something.
What did you
Carrots.
I thought we were going to say carrots.
I don't eat pizza very often, but I am a pizza a connoisseur. Like I can't go to Domino's. It can't be Domino's pizza. It's got to be like the specialty pizza.
Perfect. And how can people reach you?
They can reach me on X at Shapiro_WTHS. They can reach me through my podcast, which is Cutting the Crap with Shap, which is on YouTube and Spotify. And they can also reach me like on Facebook, which is Craig Shapiro, and Instagram is WTCC Coach.
Love it. Love it. Charles, let's close off the show.
All right, let's do this.
Let's close up. Give advice to a new teacher.
Yeah, so learn something new, take the risks, make the mistakes, repeat.
Read a note, an email, text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
So this isn't any of those, but I was able to cover a class the other day. As a school leader, I think it's important. So I covered a class so my teacher can go take care of some stuff. And the kids are asking me to come back. So I need to make that time. In fact, they stopped me the other day in the hallway and were like, hey, we loved you in there. We love the way you read to us. We did a read aloud. And these are high school students. They're like, can you please come back? It was so much fun.
Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
So if I'm sending flowers to an educator, it has to be my wife, who is a teacher, because otherwise I'm going to be in a world of trouble and never end up on one of these shows again.
I got
And
you,
she
bro.
inspires me. She inspires me.
I got you,
Ella
bro.
es de la Guadalajara, so you know.
You get the chancla from right there, bro. Name one person in the audience people should follow on social media.
Yeah, I love the daily messages every single morning without failure. I love Chuck Moss, those powerful messages. So appreciate you, buddy.
Chuck is the man. What is your favorite quote?
Favorite quote, it comes from a movie I saw a while ago. Constantly talking isn't necessarily communicating.
Yeah.
Agreed. What's one song? Una canción nomás, una that embodies you.
It's Glory from John Legend and Common. I won't sing it, but one of the lines that says something like, somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win the war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story that we call victory.
Washa. Eso. What's your favorite cheat food?
Man, a side of fries and a nice cold beer. Draft. It has to be a draft.
Love it. How can people reach you?
Yeah, just all over on X, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, whatever it might be. I used to tell kids, go ahead and Google me. You'll never find me. And now that is not the case. So Google me, find me, connect me. Let's have some fun.
And that's how we do it with Grow Your Why. Part 2, Part 3 in January. Part 3, another 4 authors will be joining us. But this is how you do it. You're not alone. You got these great stories. You got a great read over Thanksgiving. You got a great read over Christmas. And you know what? The plug is not about anything that has to do with resources. The plug has to do with us united as one community, not just a community of educators, but as a community of learners. And if you have a situation that you need to find, whether you work at Google, whether you work at Dillard's, whether you work at In-N-Out Burger, there's an inspirational story here for you that you will find, that you will say, you know what? Out of the ashes, a phoenix will rise. And that's the purpose of the PGP podcast, to where we're all together. We're all phoenixes learning from the defeats of the past. So don't forget to join us here. Like it and share it. Like it and share it. If you didn't like it, I still want you to like it and share it. Don't tell anybody, but like it and share it so the algorithm goes out there, making sure that other educators know that we're here. This is a big area of knowledge that people can tap into. And don't forget to join us next week. Dr. Zandra Jo Galvan, solo show next week. And after that, part of the Fantastic Four, Tammy Taylor and Sheikah Houston. And after that, we'll have our assistant principal roundtable part 2 and Chris Culver around the corner also. A bunch of big individuals, a lot of educators that are here to inspire you and making sure that we start off Monday having it a marvelous day. Thank you for joining us. Guests, stick around while we go off the show. Thank you, everybody.
Échale ganas.